Imagine a brain, not in a skull but perfectly preserved, alive in a sterile jar, fed by tubes and electrical impulses. Now imagine this. It feels. It experiences the world, perhaps not through eyes or ears, but through a constant, agonizing sensation of pure, unfiltered pain. A burning, crushing, incessant torment. Would it be wrong to keep it alive? What if that pain was the only thing it knew? This isn't just a grim thought experiment, it's a journey into the deepest questions of consciousness, suffering, and what it truly means to be alive. First, let's ground this. For a brain to feel anything, it needs a phenomenal consciousness, the what it's like to be experience. Pain isn't just a signal, it's a subjective horror. Scientists widely agree that consciousness arises from the intricate interplay of billions of neurons, creating complex, integrated information. It's not just a collection of cells, it's the symphony they conduct. But could this symphony play in isolation, without a body, without senses, without memories of a past self? Consider how your consciousness is built. It's a tapestry woven from sensory input, the warmth of the sun, the sound of a voice, the taste of food, and memory. These experiences shape your perception of self, your understanding of reality. A brain in a jar devoid of this constant stream would lack the very fabric of itself. Without a body to act in the world, to be in a space, how could it form a coherent I that feels pain in a meaningful way? Neuroscience tells us that pain at its most fundamental is an output of the brain, designed to protect the body. Nociceptors, specialized nerve endings, detect potential damage and send signals up the spinal cord to the brain. But the feeling of pain, the suffering, occurs in higher cortical regions. If there's no body to protect, no danger to signal, would the brain still generate that specific agonizing signal? Or would it be something entirely different? Some argue that the brain, even in isolation, might inherently possess the capacity for certain fundamental experiences. Like a computer program designed to run on specific hardware, the pain program might be hardwired into its neural architecture. But without the input, the damaged tissue, the burning sensation, what would trigger it? Could it spontaneously generate such a complex negative experience without external stimuli? This leads us to the crucial question. What would pain even mean to a brain without a body? Would it be a constant, unlocalized ache? A feeling of being disconnected, lost, like a phantom limb of an entire phantom body? Or something far more abstract? A form of existential dread rooted in its isolation. This isn't just about nociception. It's about the conscious experience of suffering, which is often tied to our embodied existence. Historically, philosophers like Descartes grappled with the mind-body problem. For him, the mind was distinct from the body, an immaterial substance. In this view, a brain in a jar, if it possessed a mind or soul, could absolutely feel. But modern neuroscience leans away from this strict dualism, seeing the mind as an emergent property of the brain's physical processes, deeply intertwined with our physical being. Consider the parallels with artificial intelligence. We're creating increasingly complex neural networks. If an AI became sophisticated enough to simulate pain, to understand its implications, would that constitute feeling it? Or would it just be processing information about it? The line between simulation and genuine experience becomes incredibly blurred when we remove the biological context. What if the brain could receive input? Imagine sophisticated sensors connected to the jar, visual data fed directly into the visual cortex, auditory input into the auditory cortex. Could it perceive a world? But even then, without the ability to act in that world, to move, to touch, to influence, would its perception truly be normal? Would it be capable of a full integrated consciousness, or a fragmented, distorted one? Some scientists propose that consciousness is not confined to the whole brain, but emerges from specific neural correlates. If these specific circuits, responsible for processing negative emotions or self-awareness, could be maintained in isolation, could that be enough for suffering? It's a daunting thought. A fragment of a mind reduced to pure, unadulterated sensation. If, by some technological miracle, we could definitively prove that this jarred brain was feeling pain, the ethical implications would be profound. Our moral frameworks are built around preventing suffering in sentient beings. If a brain without a body, without a conventional life, qualifies as sentient purely through its capacity for pain, then we would be morally compelled to alleviate its suffering, or, controversially, end its existence. But here's the twist. What if, without the constant sensory input and interaction with the world, the brain doesn't just feel pain, but fundamentally reorganizes itself? Our brains are incredibly plastic. Denied conventional stimuli, they wouldn't just sit there. They would change, and that change could lead to something entirely unexpected. Deprived of external stimulus, the brain might begin to generate its own internal experiences. Hallucinations, vivid dreams, perhaps even entirely new modes of perception that we can't fathom. This isn't just about pain, it's about the very nature of reality creation. If reality is what our brain constructs from sensory input, what reality would it construct from no input, or only internal noise? Consider cases of sensory deprivation in humans. Prolonged isolation can lead to profound psychological distress, hallucinations, and a complete breakdown of normal perception. A brain in a jar is the ultimate sensory deprivation chamber. Its internal world could become a maelstrom of chaotic, self-generated signals, far beyond just pain. So, the question shifts. Would it feel pain as we understand it? Or would it be something so alien, so utterly divorced from our embodied experience, that our word pain barely scratches the surface? It might be a fundamental wrongness, a chaotic lack of integration, a constant feedback loop of neural misfires that has no equivalent in our lived experience. And what about identity? Would a brain in a jar after years of this isolated existence still be the same consciousness that it once was, assuming it came from a living person? Or would it become a new entity, a suffering ghost of its former self, or something entirely new and unknown? The very concept of self is tied to continuity and interaction. This is where the ethical dilemma becomes truly complex. If we cannot even comprehend the nature of its suffering, how can we make a moral judgment about preserving or ending it? Our ethics rely on understanding the impact of our actions on conscious beings. If its consciousness is beyond our grasp, so is our ethical obligation. Perhaps the pain would be the complete absence of meaning, the stark realization of its utter powerlessness, its terrifying isolation. Not a physical ache, but a psychological void so profound it manifests as an unbearable neural scream. This kind of suffering might be far worse than any physical torment. The sheer effort required to keep such a brain alive, the constant supply of nutrients, oxygen, the waste removal, the electrical stimulation, would be immense. For what purpose? Scientific study? A morbid experiment? Our motivations would also be under scrutiny, adding another layer to the ethical quagmire. Ultimately, the jarred brain scenario forces us to confront our definitions of life, consciousness, and what constitutes a morally considerable being. Is it merely the presence of a brain, or the capacity for rich, integrated experience, for connection, for meaning beyond mere neural firing? These aren't easy questions, and they challenge the very foundations of how we understand ourselves. If a brain in a jar did feel pain, it would be an unimaginable horror. But the reality is likely far stranger, more nuanced, and perhaps even beyond our current comprehension. It might be a unique form of existence, generating its own, utterly alien, internal universe. And in that universe, pain might just be the beginning of the story. Could such an existence ever be considered truly alive, or is it merely a prolonged, isolated echo of what once was?